In the three worksheets prior to this, we were dealing with polynomials, but we were dealing with polynomials in a single variable. That meant one type of variable showed up per polynomial, okay? In this section, we're going to work with the same ideas that we've already dealt with, but now we're going to have polynomials in multiple variables. So that means each polynomial will have at least two variables, potentially more, okay? So again, the heart and soul of this is going to be the same. We just have to learn how to address the multiple variables, okay? So first thing I want to look at for this video is topic one, which is evaluating a polynomial with multiple variables. Now, we've dealt with evaluating several times before. So let's remind ourselves what that is. Evaluating an expression is the process of replacing the variables with given values and then using the order of operations to simplify. Well, that same idea is going to apply to a polynomial. So we're going to take our polynomial, replace all of the variables with given values, and then simplify. Okay, so let's look at example one. It says evaluate each polynomial for the given values and then simplify. Okay, so we've got x squared plus 2xy plus y squared. We're going to evaluate for x is -2, y is 3. So that means anywhere you see an x, use parentheses and replace it with a -2. Anywhere you see a y, use parentheses and replace it with a 3. So I'm going to rewrite my polynomial first. So x squared becomes -2 squared. Anytime you have exponents, you really must use parentheses, okay? Especially if there's a negative involved, but just use your parentheses. You can over parenthesize. You can't really, it's okay to use too many parentheses. It's not okay to use too few. So then we get plus 2 times x, which is -2, times y, which is 3, plus y squared, which is 3 squared. Now we use the order of operations to simplify. And in case you forgot, let's do a quick reminder. You can use PEMDAS or please excuse my dear Aunt Sally to remember the step to the order of operations. The P technically stands for parentheses, but remember, it's really more grouping symbols. So we've used parentheses down here in part A, but those are not the same type of parentheses we're talking about with the order of operations. Sometimes you use parentheses, for example, around a -2 with that exponent, or you use parentheses to indicate multiplication. But the grouping symbol parentheses are what we're looking for in the order of operations. So that would mean inside parentheses, you'd have some operation like addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. We don't have that here. Next, you would deal with exponents. We do have that here. After exponents, we would multiply and divide, and then the last step for us will be addition and subtraction. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with our exponents. So the first term that has an exponent is -2 in parentheses squared. Well, anytime you have a negative base in parentheses, you want to look to your exponent to determine if this is going to have a positive or a negative product. If the exponent is even, it makes the product positive. If the exponent is odd, it makes the product negative. This is going to be positive. So we treat this just like 2 squared, which is 4. I'm going to drop down my middle stuff because it's going to be in the next step. And then finally, 3 squared. 3 is positive. You don't have any weird sign stuff. So 3 squared is just 3 squared, which is 9. Okay. Now we didn't have grouping symbols. We did our exponents. We now need to look at multiplication and division. So that's this middle chunk right here. Okay. So 2 times -2 is -4. -4 times 3 is -12. So I'm going to rewrite this middle term as -12. Okay. And then we just add and subtract. That's our last step. So 4 minus 12 is -8. And -8 plus 9 is +1. So when we evaluate x squared plus 2xy plus y squared for x is -2, y is 3, we specifically get 1. Okay, let's look at part B. So for part B, we have 3x squared times y minus 4y plus 5. We're going to evaluate for x is 3, y is 4. Okay, so I get 3 times x squared, which is really 3 squared, times 4, minus 4 times y, which is 4, plus 5. We do need to deal with an exponent first. So we have a 3 squared. 3 squared is really just 3 times 3, which is 9. So this is going to get rewritten as 3 times 9 times 4, minus 4 times 4, plus 5. Well, let's see. 3 times 9 times 4, that's 12 times 9, which is 108. Or you could do 3 times 9 is 27, 27 times 4 is 108. You could do 9 times 4 is 36, 36 times 3 is 108. Either way, you're going to get 108. 4 times 4, or -4 times 4 is -16, so that's going to be -16, and then drop down your plus 5. So let's see, 108 minus 16 is what, 92? And then 92 plus 5 is 97. So if we evaluate 3x squared times y minus 4y plus 5 for x equals 3, y equals 4, you should get 97. Okay, so this is something that you've done before. We just wanted to kind of remind ourselves of how evaluating works and just gently introduce the idea of polynomials with more than one variable.